So what we're going to talk about today is decision hacking, because we make literally thousands of decisions every single week, hundreds of decisions every day. And making good decisions in your business is a key part of the journey of being able to have that Navy SEAL mindset and also to get to the goal faster, right? So first thing, I want you to have a think about what's one decision that you're trying to make right now in your business. It could be around sales, it could be around marketing, could be around pricing. So what is one decision that you are really wrestling with, that's taking up some of your brain's data space, that you wake up in the morning thinking about? And I know that there are multiple decisions, but I just want you to pick one, because the purpose of today is to be able to get you into a habit of making better decisions and knowing how to do that in a process in a way that makes sure that you don't overlook the blind spots and you get more confidence to make the decisions that you need to make. So you're making them without overlooking things, which is one of the things that the whole brain is, that it helps you to look at things that you wouldn't normally look at, because our brain, what does it do? It defers to the path of least resistance, right? So in making decisions, sometimes we get blocked in our decisions. Who gets blocked in their decisions? How do you go with making decisions? Are you someone who makes decisions fast? Are you someone who labors over decisions? What is it that gives you that moment where you make a decision? When you've made a great decision, what preceded it? What was the one thing that happened just before you made a great decision? Okay, so some of you make decisions too quickly and others make decisions slowly. And so making decisions quickly is something that happens when you get more confidence about things. But we can also make decisions quickly when we are creative and we just get spontaneous and impatient. So my question is, do you make decisions quickly because you're impatient and you want to be spontaneous, because spontaneity is a high value for people who are creative? Or do you make decisions quickly because you have confidence in yourself? Or is it a bit of both? And sometimes it's a bit of both, right? So when you make decisions quickly, you're being creative and spontaneous. So that's a good thing and a bad thing. Good thing, bad thing. The good part is comme ci, comme ça, as my nana used to say, Gladys. So on the good part, comme ci, comme ça, is that being creative is great. Being creative is a great skill. And being spontaneous is also good, because it brings joy, right? When you're spontaneous, it gives your brain the dopamine hit. So we like doing that. And then the downside of it is that if we're highly creative, so write it down if you're highly creative, if you're someone who come up with ideas like this, I want you to put that down, because the downside of that is we can actually have a good idea that's creative and exciting, but it can take us off track and slow down our progress in our business. So we want to find this balance. So today I'm going to take you around the brain. We're going to do an activation that God gave me, which is really exciting, to help you to go on a little journey around the highway of your brain. Who wants to do that? And we're going to help you to think about how you go about making decisions and give you some tools to make better decisions. And I'm going to get you to do a hack today that's going to help you practice the skill of changing and reframing the way you think when you're making a decision, because I want to teach you how to fish. I don't want to just give you the fish. I want to teach you how to fish. So this is one of a very important skill that I've learned. And the thing is, we make multiple decisions every single day. And if we want to get into a flow state, if we want to get into a place of peace of making a good, solid decision, we want to cut out all the noise of all the multiple decisions that we have to make that aren't really that important or aligned with our values. And we spoke about this a little bit, about planning out your week in alignment with your values, in your highest goals, your values that are really important to you. So decisions come into that just as much. So what are the sort of the things that block us from making a good decision? So one of those things is procrastination. We procrastinate when we're trying to make a decision, right? Because we're unsure about what to do next. And usually procrastination, it comes from a few different things. One is lack of information or lack of experience in a particular area. So it's normal to feel uncertain. Hello, does that make you feel happy? It's normal to feel uncertain if you're doing something that is new. That's normal. That is part of the process. So the better we get at understanding how we go about making decisions in the process, the better we're going to move to our goal faster. That's the goal. Is you want to move to your goal faster, but you actually want to pick the right goal as well. So lack of experience is one of the reasons why we are uncertain. And then we get excited. We see something cross our path, like we know that technology is basically, those guys spend their whole lives trying to get our attention. And we've spoken about attention and about where are you putting your attention? How are you going with that? How are you going with what you're paying attention to every day? Are you allowing distractions to come across your path? Are you fully focused and present right now in what I'm saying? Because our brains want to run away, right? We want to squirrel away. And I want you to practice being really focused while we're in these sessions, because this is going to teach you the art of refocusing and focusing in and getting into flow. So it's like building a muscle again, because we can get very off track when we're running around. It's kind of like if you imagine that you're running around a circuit in a gym and you're doing a circuit class and you're running from one thing to the next thing to the next thing, as opposed to paying attention to one thing and lifting one weight over and over again. I'm going to get you to build some muscles here. So the third reason why our decisions get blocked is we have negative anchors or memories stored in our subconscious mind around situations that feel familiar. So we'll get a trigger. For example, think about a smell, like the smell of lavender. Does it remind you of something? Or the smell of vinegar, does it remind you of something? And often smell can take us immediately into a place or time. The smell of the beach. So when you see how quickly your brain anchors to a memory, and when we have an experience that we see something, we think there's a tiger in the room, we think there's a tiger coming for us, because something triggers us. It's this lack of experience. It's this uncertainty. It triggers us to feel a certain way. And our go-to, and this is something I learned about myself, my go-to, which was served me and didn't serve me, was to create my way out of stuff. When you are highly creative, you might create a lot of content, for example, but then are you actually staying the course with pricing and selling that one thing? And staying the course when you're going through those stages of execution, because the execution part is often a very challenging part if you're not in that kind of left part of your brain. For those of you that are more around execution or organization, if you're high on organization or administration, is that a strength for you? Or is it something you struggle with more? Do you get into flow when you're planning? Do you like to plan, or do you struggle with it? So please write it down. When you're in that high state of execution and administration, sometimes people who are strength in that area struggle with being creative. So they struggle to come up with new ideas or designs. And then we've got the focus part of the quadrant. And so the focus part is around numbers. Is that somewhere where you struggle to make decisions, or is that somewhere where you have confidence? So I've just got a little slide up there, and I want you to just become aware as we go through these different areas. So we've got the focus, facts, numbers. I've put models there, like business models, and you may procrastinate around your business model, as in, are you doing group coaching? How much are you charging? How many clients do you want a year? What is your plan for the business down the track? Are you wanting to sell it? Are you wanting to continue to run it for the next 5 or 10 years? As you are making decisions around your model, often people don't have experience in that. And if you haven't got experience in that, then you're going to procrastinate because you're not sure what you're doing. It's kind of like you wouldn't just get on a bike and ride it, would you? If you didn't know how to do that, you'd have to have someone teach you. And that's why it's so important that you're here and you're present, you're in learning all this stuff, because it's going to teach you these skills. So we talk about the skill set in the area of creative. Are you someone who's creative? Do you find design easy, or do you procrastinate around design? Do you find copywriting easy, or do you procrastinate around copywriting? Do you procrastinate around creating landing pages, for example? Do you procrastinate because of your beliefs? system? Is your belief at the level that you need it to be? What is your belief right now? And what are you feeling about what you're doing? Okay, building an online course, great example. You may have a strength in that, or you may not know how to do it. I had to learn those skills before I did it. And so learning the skills, understanding and not being so hard on yourself when you're trying to make a decision about something. Is it your lack of experience that's holding you back? And different learning styles will cause you to approach it differently as well. Some people need to do something. For instance, in the area of technical, I need to have someone tell me, and I need to do it, and I need to see it. And how many times do you need to do something in order to learn it? It's different for everyone. Do you need to hear it? Do you need to see it? Do you need to do it a couple of times, 1 time, 2 times, 3 times? And for me, in technical, I need to do it more times than I would, for example, if someone told me an idea, I'd get it like that. So I don't need to apply myself as much in the area of ideas. And in that top left where I've put focus, I would put technical in that box as well. And so the 4th quadrant of emotions, motivation, people, and confidence. Some of you need to see it and do it once or twice. So have a think about different areas. For example, numbers. With the area of numbers, it takes me longer, but I like numbers. I like patterns, but I used to freak out about numbers in terms of accounting because the accounting language I didn't understand. But when you have someone explain accounts to you in a way that is understandable and relatable, not in accounting speak, using their terminology that people aren't used to, then it becomes easier to understand it. And you'll be surprised if you are creative, you'll be surprised at how good you are at actually reading patterns. If you're intuitive, you've probably got a good ability to read patterns. And that top right quadrant, where that design creative quadrant, is often good at anticipating the future, and even in the area of market. Not everyone has that, but if you have an instinct around the market, you'll probably know, because you'll be thinking of ideas and then all of a sudden someone else will do the idea, or you'll get a sense of something and you'll go, I feel like I need to do that. So the way that you can measure, is that a good idea? Is it a good decision or not? Is to start to recognize what emotional state was I in when I made that idea? Was I just excited and trying to find an escape and found something creative? Or was I in a state of fear when I made that decision? Or was I in a state of peace when I made that decision? So I want you to have a look at those 4 areas now, and I'm going to get you to take some action here. You're going to be engaged in this process so I can help you to rewire and reframe the way you think about these different areas, because all of these areas are important in business, and there's multiple other things that you do in business, but I've just given you the big picture in each of the areas of the brain. And I've put those crosses there to help you visually start to integrate in your mind and your subconscious those different areas together. Because literally, when you're running a business, you are going around the brain, around the brain. So you might stay over the right side of the road and need to come on the left side of the road a little bit more, or the opposite. So I want to ask you, which is the area, the number one area that causes you the most pain in making decisions? Like, you might make creative decisions quickly because you have confidence to create or write or get an idea about something, but maybe you are challenged when it comes to planning or prioritizing or executing or systems. Which is the area that jumps out at you? Just pick one that jumps out at you as in your most challenging area. So I'm going to get you to write it down, because we're going to get the golden axe and we're going to smash through the old thinking that would hold you back. We're going to smash through the old pathways. I had that dream about a golden axe. In this dream, just a few weeks ago, I had a dream, and I was in this dream. It was so vivid. And I knew that God was showing me about the execution part and the decision-making part, all those left brain skills that you use in business. And so I grabbed the axe and I held it up, and the ground was hard in front of me. And I knew this was a corporate dream. I knew it was a prophetic corporate dream, not just for me, but for everybody that I'm leading, to say we are cutting off the old pathways of double-mindedness. We are cutting off the old pathways of indecision. We are cutting off the old pathways of feeling like we're not courageous enough or we're not certain enough. Because when we hear from God with strategy for our business, we are very certain. Remember a time when you felt very, very certain about something that God has told you. When you hear from God, or when you hear a word, even from someone else that's prophetic, that aligns and sits with your spirit, you feel very certain. Yeah? Yes? Yes or no? Yes. So we've got a few different areas. Some of you struggle more with focus and the numbers and models. Some of you struggle more with motivation and confidence, and some of you struggle with focus. And it's natural to procrastinate when you are doing something new. It's okay. You just need to give yourself time to get better at it. And this theme I'm working with you on slowing down is so, so important. You know, I watched a movie last night. I watched Still by Michael J. Fox. Has anyone seen that movie? It's new. It's just come out, and it's the story of his life. And as many of you would know, he has Parkinson's disease. And there was some very poignant moments in it. And so I won't be a spoiler and spoil it for you, but I loved the theme of it because he was just this motivated, talented young man who struck it in Hollywood. And he was really struggling when he got his first break financially. And in the whole show of his life, there's some very, very key messages in there that apply to getting into flow. And one thing that he said, without spoiling it, one thing that he said was that, you know, he moved fast. He was always on the move. And that's a good thing and a bad thing, because we want to be able to slow down enough, give ourselves enough time, because what you're doing here is a marathon. It is not something that most people do. Most people give up on business. Most people fail at business. That's the statistics. So that's such a hard word to say first thing in the morning. And so I want you to just breathe for a minute and remember that this is a marathon that you're on. And if you're truly serious about building $1 million business, or getting 100,000, your next 100,000 in your business, or a multi-million-dollar business, you want to be able to stay well and healthy and focused and in flow. And if as I'm saying those words, I'm speaking it over you, that it's okay to slow down sometimes where there's areas that you need to learn. So what is it, the one decision that you need to make right now? I want you to think about one decision that you're trying to make in your business that's important to you. And I want you to put that in the chat. Just one, not all of them, because we're just practicing the skill. So don't worry, it doesn't have to be the perfect decision. Don't have problems making a decision about which decision you're going to put in the chat. What's one decision that you're trying to make that you've been procrastinating about or frustrated with, or you're feeling like it's taking too long? What's one, maybe another way of putting it is, what's one area that you're frustrated with, or decision that you're frustrated with? Quick, put it in the chat. Write it down. We're moving fast so that your brain doesn't overthink it. Just trust your subconscious is going to bring to you the most important thing. Right. So working in numbers, admin. So getting more specific about that. What specifically about your numbers or your admin? So one decision, breaking it down. So breaking down a decision is a really good way to help you to make the decision. So when you have a decision, often we globalize all the information at once. So what we want to do is break it down into tiny, tiny, tiny little bits, as if you were teaching a kid how to tie their shoelace. You know, you pull the different little straps of the shoelace out, and then you show them how to do one little rabbit's ear, and then you show them how to do the other, and then you twist them around and pull it through. So little breakdown steps, because what happens is sometimes we think of the big thing, and then our mind starts going to all these other things we have to do. And then we get overwhelmed and then we don't do it and we procrastinate. Overwhelm is another reason why we block our decisions. And so pricing your service. So specifically one service. Think about one service to price, how much I need to pursue specific ideal people to be clients. So what decision do you need to make about that? Oh, okay. So how often you need to pursue, or how much time do you need to pursue specific ideal people to be clients? So an answer to that would be that with marketing, you have to think of marketing as a very, very huge part of your business, especially while you're building. So you need to be very, very targeted on the language that you're going to share with when you're marketing, and that you're speaking to those eagles, you're speaking eagle or whatever language you're speaking to your clients. Which thing to focus on? So which thing to focus on do you mean which product to focus on, or do you mean which part of your business to focus on? Be specific with your question, with your decision. So drill that down, write that down. If it's to do with pricing, okay, so pricing is one decision, and then tracking is a whole other piece. So pick one piece. So pricing, how to price your service so you meet your financial goals. So pick one thing to work on and stick with it till it's finished. Just stick with it till it's finished, and don't be tempted to try to work on 10,000 other things at once. You'll find that you get more of a sense of a win and achievement if you do that when you're executing. Okay, so you've got some very specific gray areas there that you guys are focusing on. So what I'm going to get you to do, a little activity, and then we're going to do it in breakout rooms, and I'm going to teach you a tool to help you to navigate your brain and reframe it when you're trying to make a decision. Does that sound good? Give me some love, people. Does that sound good? Yes or no? All right. Okay. So this is the tool. So I want you to, and feel free to take a photo of this. So what we're doing here is, the brain really doesn't understand time very well. And so we are speaking to the problem as if we've already overcome it. So we're fast tracking our brain. And if you think about this is a really good rewire of changing the way that you talk to yourself when you're making a decision. So you can use this over and over and over again. I want you to master this because I want you to win. But we're going to have a really beautiful activation after we do this exercise, and you're going to have fun with this exercise. So this is how it works. So think about the decision that you just picked, and I want you to be very specific. Pick one area. Like, for example, if your problem or your decision is, for example, pricing your services, so I used to feel overwhelmed, for example, or uncertain about pricing my services, but then you're going to state an action that you're going to take. So what kind of action would you want to take to become better at pricing your services? So number one is, what information do you need? So going back to that quadrant, do you need more facts? Do you need to look at your numbers more? Do you need to ask someone who can help? So should you talk to a bookkeeper and look at your profit margins and see what you're making in your business? And I think with pricing, the thing is, make a decision once and stick with it. Don't put your prices down because you think people won't buy, because then you're going to be double-minded. And that's what a lot of people do. They start putting their prices down. I used to do it when I started. Don't put your prices down, but don't make them so outrageous when you haven't got any confidence to sell something that you'll never believe that you're going to do it, because that's called sabotage. So don't jump to a $50,000 offer if you've never sold a $50,000 offer before. Get some little fish and start at a level. And remember that you have competency and unique offers that no one else in the world has. And I'm going to keep reminding you of it. So your pricing should be a little bit higher. Don't compare it with the market. All right. I used to feel, so I want you to put how you used to feel, even though you may feel it right now. I want you to use past tense. I used to feel. So write in the chat. I used to feel. How do you feel about, write the problem. So I used to feel, come on, guys. I used to feel what? So how are you feeling about a decision? Put it in the chat or write it down. I used to feel, is it overwhelmed? Is it anxious? Beautiful. Confused? Beautiful, right? About what's your problem? Quick, write a problem down. Don't overthink it. Yep. About who to align with and collaborate with, about content creation, about how to market my offer. Yep. All right. But then okay, so what action are you going to take? So your action may be, your first action might be that you broke down all the questions that you have about that decision. So your first action might be, but then I wrote down every little question or thing I need to do. That's a great first starting point. Brain dumps. Yeah, brain dump everything I need to do. And a good way to brain dump with a decision is actually writing down all the questions that you have and then writing down who do you think could help you with those, or where could you get that information? We just stop because we're so scared because it's so overwhelming because we haven't broken it down. And I heard a really great thing that I shared with my group the other week, and it was ideas are really, the brain is really great for creating ideas, but it's not really great for storing them. So you want to get everything out of your head around that decision, get it on a piece of paper, and on the left-hand side, put all the questions, put all the uncertainties, and just the act of doing that is going to start to give you clarity. And then on the right-hand side, it's like, who can help you with which specific area? Do you need to talk to a bookkeeper? Do you need to spend half a day just writing down all your numbers and spending more time planning or executing? Do you need to go and learn how to be better at defining your message? You can do a lot of this is in all of our sessions. You can go to the marketing grid and learn how to market your message. So, and also when you're making decisions, pick a decision that's where you are at now. Because if you're picking something that's like a longer term, now money versus next money versus new money, if you're picking something that's a longer term thing that's going to take you longer, is that going to serve you right now? Because especially when we're creative, we go to the future a lot. And if we go too far in the future and it's too big a project, we're going to feel overwhelmed with that. And meanwhile, if we're needing to make money now, that's fine if you've already got, your $1 million business ticking over, or your $500,000, or even a couple of 100,000. But if not, your now decision needs to be something that's going to make you money now. And we love going to the big, exciting things, right? But that is not necessarily going to serve you if you need to actually just start selling one product. So come back to the now, because we'll avoid the things. We go into avoidance. Those quadrants I showed you, typically people will be strong in two of the areas and will be in avoidance in one area, or not even in avoidance, but lower on the scale. So if you're lower on the scale, for instance, in numbers, you're going to avoid it. You're going to want to go and do the pretty fun things, but that's not going to bring you money in. This is like Navy SEAL training on making sales, making your 100K. So I'm challenging you. The areas that you're most challenged with are often the areas that you need to work on the most. The other stuff will come easily to you. And so state the action. So for now, just pick like one action, but you will later on, you might need to write more actions, or at least write, where are you going to get the information you need? What do you need to learn? So these are good questions to ask yourself. Where are you getting the information? What do you need to learn? Specifically, what do you need to learn? Use the word specifically. Okay, so now we've got the actions. Let's put some actions in there. Write down some actions. Don't overthink it. Just write it down. No right or wrong. Get it down. I'm making you move fast through this so I can teach you to stop overthinking it. Quick, just one action each. Good. Yep. Reverse engineering. Awesome. Yep, work it back. If it's 100K and your product is 10K each, you need 10 people. And how many do you need per month? Work it backwards. Right. Calendar. You know what? I'm not a fan. I'm not a great planner. I'm really used to be better at planning, but the busier I got, the less I planned. It's a weak spot for me. So I have learned, and I'm learning still, to get better at planning. Planning is so important for making decisions. And if you don't like planning, I would tell you now, save yourself a lot of pain and build that habit of planning. Build that habit of blocking out that week. Remember, we talk about, there's lots of replays in here about this, about blocking your week into the red, the sales, the marketing, the blue, the numbers, the blue. I always do my numbers stuff on Fridays. That's my day for numbers stuff. And when you start to condense your week into times where you're focused on a particular type of activity, you don't use as much mental energy and you won't be so tired or overwhelmed. So start to block out your week. If you haven't already, color code your fun time. I make my personal time orange because it's just a fun color for me. And so maybe your spiritual time is purple, your sales time is red. Put in that block every week for those sales calls, even if you don't have them yet. Your brain is going to start to fill that time with your sales calls. Even if you do it over a couple of days, that's fine. All right. So blocking your time, blocking your colors is really good for decision making. All right. So now you've got some actions. I want you to keep note of your actions because I'm going to get you to share them with each other in a minute. Okay. And this is the fun part. And now I feel, so how will you feel on the other side of overcoming that decision, making the decision and seeing the fruit of that decision come to pass? How are you going to feel? Write it down. Quick. How are you going to feel? Quick. Confident. Awesome. Track to catch your whale. Beautiful. And how will that feel when you're feeling on track to catch a whale? Realizing that you overthink. It's the most natural thing in the world. Actually, it is. Catching a whale is the most natural thing in the world. You'd be surprised.